People get on their horse and they ride it to the end.
We're about kicking the fucking horse out from under you on this show, folks.
Right.
So that you can't ride it all the way to the end. And I gotta tell you, since I started this show, I can't find my fucking horse.
It's the 13th day of March, 2016, and this is it. The Radical Agnostic, where ideology goes to die, and 4 working class philosophers shoot the proverbial shit. I hope you are all ready to gorge yourselves on science, politics, philosophy, and fun. Because this is it. My name's John, I'm your host. We got my co-host, Mark. The stowaway guest is Brian Richter.
Howdy.
We have the other guest, Eddie West.
Hey, y'all.
Guys, we have tons of stuff to talk about today, so let's get right to it. Should we, maybe we'll start with this craziness, though, in the political world. Campaign in the Ass 2016, right here on the Radical Agnostic.
Did you just come up with that?
This morning, yeah.
That's fucking nice, man. I'm bravo, dude. Campaign in the
It
ass.
was sort of like a Daily Show-esque, you know?
Yeah, only better.
Oh,
Yeah.
Because you're not a Jew.
Well, it turns out after all
that's not why.
after all the puns John has made on this show, finally
one has landed.
One pun intended.
One pun intended.
Yeah. One
in 10.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's what I'm getting out of that. Did.
It's deep.
Way to upstage me on my own show.
Layers.
It's a big show. So what's going on? Is this guy? Is this
Trump?
Is this guy Mussolini? What is this guy? What's going on? The violence at the rallies. You saw the black protester getting led away by the cops. 78-year-old guy, sure, but he had a nice. What is that? A right hook that he threw at the?
No, he hit him with his elbow.
No,
yes, he did. No, he did not.
Fist.
Look at it. He smashed him in the chin with his elbow. He went.
So that's like that's not a move that normal people would throw. That's probably a fighter, like a guy who
dude knows how to fight.
A little bit of Muay Thai,
elbow,
maybe,
which is of course far worse than a punch.
Yeah, throw those in close. Save your knuckles, folks. Just a little friendly advice. Save your knuckles. Throw those bows if you're in tight.
That was awesome. So that guy got smashed in the mouth. Then of course he sort of stands there and looks at the guy in incredulity for a second, and then the cops take him away. You lose sight of him, and then when the camera goes back, the cops are on top of the black guy who got elbowed in the teeth. They're on top of him,
right? And so
maybe he tried to run back and get the guy, because you can't see. But that's nice. The cops are on top of the black guy.
That to me is the more the tragedy or the thing to be upset about than any of the other crap. Like, I'm sorry, Chicago, at a political thing, some violence happens. Ooh, really? Who would have thought that? And then you don't like somebody, you're going to go to their rally, and then you're going to cause a disturbance. I'm sorry, if it was a Bernie Sanders rally and a bunch of fucking super extreme conservative right-wing Christians or something showed up and had signs and started screaming and yelling and getting in people's faces, what do you think would happen? Do you think any violence might happen?
I'd say there's a lower chance, Mark.
There might be a lower chance, but I'm asking you if it might happen.
I mean, he's had
if you do that, if you put all those things together,
but Mark,
could violence happen?
You're usually you seem to be responding to some person on the left who said something. I don't know what, because I don't think any of us have a problem with them getting taken out of their disturbers. Like, I think they have the right to protest there, and then they have the right to get their asses dragged out, and no one should get hurt.
Because I've seen memes saying that they have the right to go protest, and they don't. If you stop them, then you're like, okay, if someone comes and yells at you or disturbs your rally, that's not action against your free speech. That's not violating your free speech. Now, if those protesters that are there and are doing stuff, if you somehow have them dragged out, that is a violation of their free speech.
Oh, you're saying the protesters shouldn't even be removed?
That's what these memes are saying.
Oh, well, I can't speak
to that. And
then
also, I mean, just the deal that we're talking about as Trump. I'm sorry. I think Trump is an imbecile. I think Trump is a lot of things, but to blame the violence that his people at his rally does on him.
Okay, two things though.
Well, hold on.
Okay, and you can say, well, he doesn't denounce them. Well, how many?
He encourages
You heard his explicit comments about that he stands up there when people protested in the early times, and he said, "I wish I could punch them in the face.
Yes,
I will cover your legal
John,
fees."
Trump
if you
was
hit
not
them.
even in the building when this was going on.
But he's been in the building.
Right, yeah.
Well, he might have been
the
in the
black guy
building in
got-
the past, but then show me those instances of violence.
Okay, but I'm thinking.
There have been lots of them.
No, it hasn't.
Yeah,
It's been-
that's
it's been-
horseshit.
It's
Okay,
been
hold on,
people
hold on.
pulling people out.
I'm just telling you,
cops or
I'm giving
whatever.
you examples of him on the pulpit encouraging violence literally. Okay, so that's one thing. Two, here's another question. I don't know the answer to it. Are Trump supporters more likely to be, violent at an event? I don't know the answer than other campaign supporters. Now, so far, that's
I
been
think
the
that's
case,
objectively
but it might
true.
be because of there's so much protest at Trump events.
No, there's an additional part though too. He's got the white supremacist, and I do think Trump is racist, but I'm going to draw a line here lest Mark jump down my throat. I'm not going to necessarily blame him for the KKK for the brown shirt supporters,
Right.
But he has those supporters who are not supporting other candidates, so therefore, and those people are.
But there
traditionally
might be,
more violent.
There might
So
be equally
He also
scurrilous.
has Ben Carson as a supporter, so I don't,
That guy tried to knife somebody.
yeah, and he's
No.
in the KKK too. I heard he's a grand wizard.
Yeah, so
No, that's Dave Chappelle.
yeah, the white supremacy certainly is not driving the Trump campaign or the majority of its supporters. It's definitely not. And
I think a discussion on that can be had, but it's not the same kind that we're talking about.
Okay, so but in coming from a beefian perspective, I would also say that there's probably equally scurrilous people in every campaign, but scurrilous in different ways. In other words, they might not be white supremacists, but they might be like Soviet communists, or they might be, I don't know, radical left groups or radical Christians that are supporting Cruz. So Trump doesn't have a monopoly or a corner on the stupid market or the bad person market. But if all you did was watch the media and watch what people post from the media, it would seem that Trump is the only one doing this. right,
And Trump is the only person that has said anything like this kind of stuff.
he's the only
supports
person
any of
whose
it,
rallies
ever.
have had incidents of violence and have been canceled because of protest.
Yeah,
So-
you're talking about this election year?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'll agree with in the United States this election year. I will agree with you.
Yeah. So
If
far.
you're broadening it, then no, I'm sorry, that's wrong.
So where are we going with this? What is it? What's going on here? Is there a threat of fascism in this country?
Well, yeah.
Right now.
There's always a threat of fascism.
Well, an
okay,
elevated
no.
threat.
The threat? Should we just say
hold on. Let's go around the table.
presence?
Brian,
I would say there's the presence of fascism in America. There's a fascist element here.
more than there used to be. Is it excited? Is it more active than it was 20 years ago?
It sure. I'll tell you what. It sure feels like it is, and maybe that's just. I could probably attribute it to in some semblance to social media, because for the most part I have a lot of like-minded friends. That's how you get together. You find people you have things in common with. So I tend to see mostly one side of it. What I get
So there's
from
these,
the
like,
other side is
pods of ideology.
yeah. And then through different circles, like I know some people who are fairly conservative too, so I hear a little bit from them. But I wouldn't get both sides of the story if I didn't look at it myself.
Well, like,
But
your
it does
parents
seem
are for Trump. My
Well,
parents
I don't know
are
if they're
for
for Trump, but
Well,
they're sure not against the
they're
motherfucker.
leaning Trump, and they at least they appreciate what he's been able to do. And part of that is good because he's been just crushing the Republican Party and completely disobeying it. And how can that be a bad thing, people? I ask you that. Just as I want to see the Democratic Party crack and come apart, this thing on the right has been extraordinary. But then
That would be pure heaven to watch them both parties just fold miserably, just fall apart.
But then we kind of wimp out, me and people in the media and stuff, and we're like, but this Trump guy, he's really dangerous. Like, is he really dangerous? Or would we rather have a Jeb Bush? Like, can I,
Well,
am I walking back?
Can I say something about that?
Yeah.
I read this weird little thing, and it was a story about a teacher who asked the question, what does it take to be a leader? And so people threw all these qualities up there. And he said, well, yeah, you're all wrong. All it takes to be a leader is followers.
Interesting.
That's what's dangerous.
It's like
that's why
that's what
I
bothers
blame
me
the
the
people.
most about
I
it.
don't
Like,
blame the leaders.
Do you guys remember the social experiment that was? I don't remember what it was actually called, but it was in the book and movie based on it was called The Wave. Teacher who, as part of when they were talking about World War II, he noticed all of his students were like, I can't believe anybody would have gone along with it. All his students said, there's no way. I mean, that all the Germans were just dumb and evil. He was like, so he sat down one night and said, okay, all right, I'm going to introduce this like one step at a time. And I have an end game, and my end game is to show, any step you took along with me, like, you're going to see it's fast. And the problem is that it actually got beyond him. It spiraled outside of his control, and he ended the experiment after some Jewish kid got like beat up by one of his quote unquote lieutenants.
So So they did like a mock up thing where the students in this classroom became like brown shirt Nazis, like
right.
thugs.
Like I think they even wore armbands, but it was like the wave and like this. You don't hold your hand up like in the obvious Nazi salute. Oh no! You hold your hand up and make a C.
They were playing a thing, but then it went out of his control into the rest of the high school. Mm-hmm. And like you just said, what happened? The kid got hurt or killed?
I don't think he got killed. Okay. I don't think he got killed, but it was just violence. It was just like once it spun into like not even little like maybe knocking books violence, but some kid getting the shit beat out of him. It was. Oh, fuck. Like, this needs to end now. Like, this isn't, what do I do? This is done. We need to stop.
Group identity, man. That feeling of shared identity gives you power. And it's always men, too, by the way. It's mostly men. It's most men are like, oh, let's fucking do this.
Testosterone soup.
I would have easily been a Nazi when I was 16. Gladly. Happily. I would have volunteered. I would have started the party.
The uniforms are pretty cool.
You and Pope Benedict.
Yeah. Well, that's why I'm terrified of young men. They're the worst thing the world has ever known. And they're also great, but they're like the most dangerous.
If you need a hole dug.
Yeah. Good one, man. So what the hell is fascism? Do any of us know? Isn't it when the government like extracts money from companies? The government doesn't own the companies? No. All right, what is it?
All right, so this needs some background because there's the idea.
No, give the quick. We need the 60-second.
Well, come on, it's 1 hour show, Eddie.
Fascism is when government...
Dumb it down for me, Eddie.
Yeah.
Dumb it down for me.
Fascism originated in Italy, and it organized around the idea that the fascia and the symbol of the Roman Senate, which was a bundle of sticks wrapped around an axe. And the idea is, a single stick can be stepped on, but a bundle of sticks, is much stronger.
Right.
And so fascism is very related to a core national identity with a strong leader. So that, a dictatorship is, I'm the king, I rule. Fascism is, the country is the best thing ever, it rules, and I'm speaking for it.
The state is the...
State, yeah.
Now, but what are the...
Economically, you're not wrong. Economically, fascism... Like
they let companies...
We don't own you. We don't own you. You just have to do everything we say.
Yeah. They have an authoritarian hand over the market and business. So the companies remain private, I think.
Yep.
But the government says we're taking 60% of what you make, or like 80.
The economics aren't necessary. Like it's the government basically says you do whatever we say.
Yeah.
We just. So it's not like communism.
You're making toilet paper, and the government says no. You're going to start making matchboxes.
Fascism is not about that. Fascism is not about economics. Fascism is about, about nationalism.
It's interesting. So yeah, it's kind of misplaced as a.
It's a government system, but not an economic theory.
Right, good, excellent.
Democracy is similar. Democracy is not an economic theory.
I knew you would have that there. So a lot of these disruptions at the Trump events are Bernie Sanders supporters. I'd say most of them.
Are they?
Yeah. Huh. Yeah, but Bernie said, "Hey, I don't want you guys to go do this."
I will say I would like to make a point about a bright line because it's kind of similar to what Mark was saying. Is when you're disrupting somebody else's show on private property, it's not good that violence erupts there. But at the same time, you are trespassing. So there is that right to eject.
You're not trespassing. No, you're not breaking the law by being in that building.
It's a public event.
It's a rally. You just stand in a line and walk in.
Well, trespassing is when you break. You're trespassing if you take a shit on the floor of an office. They want you to leave.
If someone says you need to leave and you don't leave, then you're trespassing.
Right, but I'm saying that
you need to leave.
But nobody told them to leave.
No, John.
Until they started to tell them to leave.
No, people have been told to leave Trump rallies a lot.
Right.
And then they start protesting. They start screaming. They stop
I think
walking.
I think John's more talking about somebody who sits there quietly,
right,
and then all of a sudden goes, "All right, fuck you," and that guy is. But there's a principle.
Then people
agree.
come and say,
yes,
"Hey, you need to leave."
We're all in agreement.
Then they stop.
So we're all in agreement.
They don't stop. They keep doing it, and they don't leave.
Once they tell them to leave,
happens.
They're trespassing.
And I have a lot of, I think it's problematic how the violence has happened as a result of these things. That said, to me, a very bright line is going to be when, or if, we'll say if, the violence extends beyond that. Because right now we're making you leave, and technically they do have the right to make people leave. So when they do it more violently than we would like, it's still a huge problem, and there's a lot of problems about it, but it's not the same kind of problem as if suddenly the violence spills outside of that venue.
Yeah.
And if that line gets crossed, I'm going to be, it's no longer, I'm drawing parallels to Nazism, it's, oh fuck.
Well, yeah, but wouldn't that be the Sanders people's fault in a way? Wouldn't we have to conclude, if they keep showing up at Trump's events and then violence gets so bad that it turns into a mob and flows out?
I'm more saying like if if next week a Trump supporter beats up a Bernie Sanders supporter on the street, I'm going to be a little more concerned. And if then Trump is like, he shouldn't have done it, but I'll pay his legal fees.
It depends on his response, right? Like there's a lot of
he
crazy Bernie
back.
Sanders supporters.
I just think that's a very bright line, and that's a line, and then his response to it's going to be its own.
Yeah. Yep, I agree.
I'll tell you what I think.
Brian just hammered a Slurpee.
It's not done yet, but I've had brain freeze twice
and
already.
He's just had to lick the sugar off of his lips, and now he's got something to say. So listen up.
I'm going to quote Will Smith in Men in Black. This is a problem for me, and I'm going to almost agree with everybody. But if we're here celebrating our guy, I'm going to do a couple cheesy movies. It's like Globo Jim coming to fucking shit on Average Joe's parade after they beat the Girl Scouts by DQ and got in the game. It's
dodgeball.
Don't start none. There won't be none. Don't come. Like, it's a bad idea to come to a fucking rally and protest the guy there.
Right.
So if shit breaks out, it's like Mark said. You were looking for confrontation, and amped up people don't fucking handle confrontation well.
Right.
So don't go looking for trouble, and there won't be any fucking trouble.
Though, you guys did not like it when I said I think we're both sides are being hypocritical here, or at least inconsistent, because when I said the Draw Muhammad contest, and then some gunmen showed up, right, and tried to, but the security guys killed them,
right.
The cops, and I was saying Draw Muhammad people were asking for it. And I didn't say they would deserve to be shot. I said that would be bad. And
That's
I said
different.
Those gunmen are
that's
bad.
not
That's
what Brian
qualitative
said at all.
differently. Yeah.
Brian's not saying that the Trump campaign is asking for protesters to show up.
No.
John's oppositing that. And
you're coming there to protest their shit, just like those guys came to shoot up the place. You're coming to peacefully shoot up the place, but you're still looking for trouble because you could have protested Trump anywhere you wanted.
Well,
but you came to a fucking Trump rally to do it.
Well, and let's be clear.
You're looking for trouble.
They shut the Trump rally down.
Yeah.
It got killed. It got postponed. Got canceled.
Yeah.
So their accomplishment was accomplished.
Right.
What they wanted happened.
Which is kind of cool.
So what I'm fuzzy on is why now there's so much people complaining, worrying about Trump, like why aren't they celebrating? Why aren't they saying, "Yeah, fuck yeah, we did it"? Fuck.
They are. Sanders people are super happy.
I can't believe how fucked up Trump is. Trump is such a Nazi. Oh, can you look at what happened at one of his rallies? It's like that's not Trump's fault.
Well,
how? No, it's not, Eddie. Trump had no hand in any
except when he said, "Hey, try not to hurt him, but if you do, I'll pay your legal fees."
Yeah.
Like that's a hand
He was
in
not
him.
there at the building.
He said that earlier.
He said that earlier at a different rally?
Yeah.
Okay. So he said it at a different rally. Do you think all those people then listen to that and then they go... And
all the Trump supporters?
And that's what they were thinking in
he's on the
forefront of their mind.
He's on 24-hour news
I can do anything I want because Trump is going to fucking pay for my legal fees.
Leadership can establish a pervasive culture. That comes from the top.
He said it on the stage to everyone. He said, "I will pay your legal fees if you hurt these people."
So all of you against me, you're all saying that groups of people, crowds, have no responsibility for their own actions.
No.
It's the leader. It's the
No.
one guy who
We're
owns
just
the
saying
thing.
he
I
shares
said
some.
leadership
Shares
can create
some.
a pervasive
And how
culture.
much is some, John?
I don't know.
20/80?
I don't know,
30/70?
Mark.
What is it?
Stop! No, that's the
Tell
mistake.
me.
You're counting as a zero-sum game. Everybody's
No, I'm not counting as
no.
a zero-sum
You're
game.
well, fine. You're saying
I'm
that's what we're
asking-
doing.
I'm saying
If I
that's
say
what you're
Trump has
doing.
some responsibility, right? That doesn't mean that the crowd people don't have 100% of. They have 100% of their own responsibility.
Yeah, that's what I
that
said
said,
about the
there's an
gunman.
additional
So
responsibility.
why
That's what I
is,
had said
so
about
why
the
is
gunman.
everyone talking about Trump and not his supporters for the most part? That's
the
my
supporters
point.
aren't running for president.
I've already mentioned
Yeah.
both
Supporters
of
are the
them.
ones who might put him in as president.
I've
I
already-
have more.
I've
I have
already
more
mentioned
interest
both of
in
them.
Yes.
I have
the
mentioned
People
both.
complain
Trump
about
and
the
the
supporters all
idiot.
the time, Mark.
No,
Mark,
it's
Mark,
about
Mark.
Trump.
Here's the question then. Does Trump, the man, share any of the blame for the recent violence? Your opinion, yes or no? And if yes, how much?
I would say yes, but in the same way that rap groups rapping about gangster shit and shooting cops and blah, blah, blah have responsibility for whatever their
Same
listeners
degree?
do. Same degree. I'm
No,
saying it's the same. Let me speak, Eddie. So what I'm saying is that in your mind, you being the royal you, the person that is listening to my words right now, whatever amount you think those rap groups, heavy metal bands, comic book artists, fucking whoever,
Right.
whatever responsibility they have for their audience,
Trump has
and then
the
what
same.
their audience does,
Right.
Trump has the same.
So Mark,
Cruz has the same.
but my question to you was, does he share any, in your opinion?
John, did you get my answer?
I-
That's an answer. That's a question that you need to answer for yourself. I can't
do you
answer
mean?
it for you.
No, I'm asking your opinion on the answer to the
I
question.
said they share the same amount.
But do you believe they
But how
share
much is that
any?
amount? Yeah, what is that amount? Zero,
In
or is
your-
that amount a
in
number
your
greater than
opinion?
zero?
Why are you getting angry that I want to know
I'm not
your
getting
answer to
angry.
this question?
I'm trying to clear up my answer.
Okay.
And it doesn't seem like you're understanding.
I think he wants
my
a number
answer.
1 to 100.
You want an
As
answer?
far as
1 to
a
100?
percentage,
Okay.
an estimate.
So I know you love these. So I'll just say 14%.
Okay,
So-
so there's an element there, and it's to you. It's the same as other. Like, because if you said it's the same and that number is 0, that's different than it's the same and that
Right.
number is 14%.
I don't
And
know
I would
why
totally
you-
agree with
I
you.
live-
I
I
would
don't
totally
like
agree
this
with
I
you.
question.
live, I live in reality, Eddie, where there's no such thing as black and white. There's no such thing as, well, it's not binary. It's not 0 or 1.
Yeah,
I was gonna
that's
say,
why
'cause
I'm-
there is such a
so-
thing as black.
no,
and
That's
white.
why I'm asking you for a more specific
I would
answer
agree
that
with
That's
isn't
why I
black and
told
white.
you 14%.
But you're saying it all angrily, like you
I'm
don't
not
really
saying it
think that's
angry.
the truth. Like, why are you? Why are
I'm
you
telling
like
you
pretending
it's 14%.
to give me a number?
I'm
Okay,
not pretending. I said it's 14.
All right.
Do you want me
Sorry.
to show you
I
the
misinterpreted
equation that I came up with to come to 14%? Because I will.
Go ahead,
I just
Brian.
need to go get my scientific calculator.
all right.
I would agree with you wholeheartedly
Who?
if the music, Mark, if the music wasn't about entertainment. When Ice Cube
Really?
wrote-
You don't think politics are about entertainment?
Well,
You don't
I mean,
think,
they
you don't
can
think
be.
that's what's
They can-
entertaining America right now?
They can be, but I don't think that they necessarily should be. So when Ice Cube runs for president, I'll hold him to a higher standard.
If you take Trump seriously, for good or ill, I cannot take you seriously.
I don't take him seriously. I still kind of think, honestly,
Define
that he's
that.
trolling America. I
Well,
still
I
I
kind of
really
think
need
he
to
is.
find that for you, Eddie.
The phrase "take it," you said take him seriously for good or ill. If you, so you're saying that and I could be wrong, so don't yell at me, but you're
kinda
saying
have to
if I
take
take
him
him seriously as because he's got huge levels of support and there's a legitimate chance he
He's the
might
leader
win
of the
office,
Republican
and I'm
race.
scared of that. Are you saying you can't take me seriously despite those things?
Right.
And then I would. So that's what I don't understand what you mean by take seriously.
Do
Seriously,
you understand that the ex-head of the NSA and the CIA said that if Trump becomes president and tries to do any of the things that he has said in his campaign, there will be a military coup?
I heard that comment.
Is it that scary too, though?
That's kind of
That
alarming.
might be scary, but then who are you blaming? Are you blaming Trump for that, or are you going to blame the
No,
military?
I just asked you
military
if
for
someone's
that?
afraid that he might become the president.
Well, but
Are
see,
they- can you not
which is
take them
scarier?
seriously?
Trump being in office and making inane comments and posting garbage on Twitter, or a military coup?
If he
And
gets elected, you're saying there'll
let's
be a
say-
coup. So that's a scary scenario. The coup is scary.
It could be scary. I don't know. I've never.
Oh yeah, Eddie. You need a chance to defend yourself. So let me just round this up real quick. You guys listened to the last episode. We talked about this app or something that you an
It's
extension to Chrome that you download this thing.
The Drump.
Yeah, and it changes every mention of the word pro-life to anti-choice, so that you read articles and news and this and that, and anytime someone writes pro-life, you'll see anti-choice. And Eddie was saying he defended this, I thought, in our conversation because he thought that was a more accurate use of terminology. And I kind of lambasted that in the last episode. So, Eddie, your chance to rebut.
Well, there's two things here.
And that it was really scary and horrible that people wanted to change their perception intentionally
people
to feed their own ideology. Okay. So that was my...
There's two things here, and one of the things that was brought up was how news used to be about reporting the facts. News has always been about the way you phrase things matters. That's always been the case. That always is the case. What's the difference between a freedom fighter and a terrorist? Sometimes, or an example that occurred to me: undocumented immigrant versus illegal immigrant.
Yeah, illegal alien.
Or whatever is picked as the standard doesn't necessarily mean anything different, and some places will use the different word different ways, right? So we're not talking about changing a fact here.
Republicans are pissed that Obama will not and has never used the word radical Islamic terrorist.
What does he use? Because he uses something similar.
No, he says, I don't know what he said. He says terrorists all the time, but he doesn't say radical Islamic. He will not say that, and they hate him for
if you're a terrorist, aren't you kind of radical already?
Yeah.
Like, isn't it kind of like...
For sure.
So are there non-radical terrorists?
100%.
They're like really rational terrorists?
They crash paper airplanes.
They're just eminently calm, and they don't, terrorize too much.
I'm sorry, but if you don't meet my demands, I'm going to talk to you incessantly until you do.
I'm going to call you back.
So,
I will.
What are you going to use?
Harsh, you
what movie is this from? What are you going to use? Harsh language?
Is that the Untouchables?
No, Aliens. They're like, no, you can't use the flamethrowers in there. There's a reactor in there. Okay. They go, what am I supposed to use? Harsh language? All right. So the way you say the phrase things matters politically. It matters in big ways.
It matters, but it doesn't change the facts. The facts on the table are always a certain way. Yeah. And what you use to summarize as a descriptor, I'm not arguing in favor of that. I would. That's the second part, is that you are right to say that I did say, and I do think that phrasing it in terms of the choice is more accurate, but that's completely separate from whether I have a problem with the extension.
Let's just clarify.
I'm just as much okay with the extension if the extension changed every example of, pro-choice, if they exchange it. I don't think they would use the phrase anti-life. I actually don't think pro-lifers... but maybe they would. Fine.
Oh, they would. They're not going to make it sound
no, but it would probably be like pro-abortion. Like the one they would prefer would be something else. I don't think it would be anti-life.
So you'd be okay with it?
I think it might be
philosophically,
bro.
Why? But then
philosophically, I'm okay with it because it's just in all of them.
But are you okay with the thing as it is, the extension as it is, where it only changes pro-life to anti-choice? Would you?
You can't change anything else?
The way these extensions work, the way these extensions work is some guy or gal made it, and it's a single use thing. Now you could have an extension that changes several different things, but this particular extension happens to be one thing. It's just a piece of code.
What would you change if you could have something that changed one word? What word would you change?
I would do an extension that looks for and inserts the Oxford comma.
Don't bring up the Oxford comma. I love the Oxford comma. Show.
Do you notice that I use it? Do you notice that? Okay, thank you. Do you notice that? Do you guys notice that I use the Oxford?
Do you know how I noticed? How? Is because I haven't given you
shit. Because you're gay. You know how I noticed? Because you're gay.
Because we're holding each other ever so
It's like the difference between the hookers, Hitler and Stalin, and the hookers, Hitler and Stalin.
I'm embarrassed because I even watched a video on the Oxford comma last night, and I don't know what it is.
Oxford comma is just when you're grouping more than two things. Oh. So like watermelon, apples, and oranges, or
you still use the comma before the and. You still use it.
The joke. I just said the joke, but I'll say it slower. If you said the strippers, Hitler and Stalin, that implies that Hitler and Stalin are strippers. But if you say the strippers, Hitler, and Stalin, you're saying the strippers and also Hitler.
But why do they tell you it's optional? That's the rule, right?
Well,
it's
a lot of you have to recognize that most grammar is actually optional. Like you can't start a sentence with
Yeah,
a
who's
guy
the
who's
authority
good- a guy
anyway?
who's
There
good-
isn't one.
A guy
Who's
who's,
the guy
and-
who's out there?
a guy who's got good grammar knows what rules he's breaking, and he did it for a purpose.
A lot of our grammar rules kind of come from somebody's idea wanting to make English more like Latin. That's why you're not supposed to start things with a conjunction. That's why you're not supposed to split
end with a prepositional phrase.
You're not supposed to split infinitives. And I mean, if you read a sentence where they didn't split the infinitives, a lot of times it sounds like shit. Like to boldly go where no man has gone before, the Star Trek thing.
Yeah.
That's a split
To
infinitive.
go boldly.
Yeah, and that sounds worse. Or there's a famous quote that I have a poster of, and every time I look at it, I get annoyed. And it's a statement by Einstein, and it's the important thing is not to stop questioning.
Yeah.
He means that the important thing is
To
that
not
you should
stop.
not stop questioning. But the way by not splitting the infinitive, it sounds like he's saying it's not important to stop questioning. Like it sounds weird.
Yeah,
Right.
for sure. I get it. Interesting. So, all right. So, wait. What's your answer? Do you think this extension? Are you
extensions
for
that-
it or against?
Extensions that only flip a label.
Yeah.
I'm
This
Philis-
label. This one.
You know what I would change? I would change all mentions of September. I would make them September. And all mentions of...
Rocktober.
I knew it was coming, dude.
From what's that from?
It's from like
What's that
KLPX. Any rock show, September.
You've never heard the
and
radio?
Rocktober.
It's
You usually
September.
There's
Yeah.
no
A
such
month
thing
long
as
September.
October.
Right.
Rocktober. It's
Rocktober.
Rocktober.
I would have all those mentions changed. That's what my extension would change.
rules.
So philosophically, I don't know if I'd say I'm in favor because I don't have it installed. I don't have any extensions like that installed, but I'm not opposed to it. I don't think it's as wrong as you guys seem to think.
I
last
think
week.
it was horrible.
Do I
You
get
think-
to
but why
answer?
is it
Do I get to
horrible?
answer the question?
I just don't
You
know.
answered it.
At what point do you
You don't
become a
get to
fucking Amish
answer
horse
any
with
more
blinders on, just running down your own road?
But you're not
See,
changing any
if
facts.
I had that app, what I would change is every selfie ever taken would be changed to "I suck farts."
The words on
So
the
that
The
just
words "I
doesn't
suck
make sense.
farts." So whenever anyone posts a selfie, it's just going to say "I suck
suck
farts."
Oh, every literal selfie, the picture.
yes, the picture.
It seeks out. It has facial recognition. But what if I
No,
just
it doesn't have to have facial recognition.
Why is
at
it
all. Just-
okay to get someone else to take a picture of you, but taking your own is disallowed in Mark Beef's
Because
universe?
I'm sorry, but even the most vainest motherfucker in the world, how often are you going to be able to get someone else to take your fucking picture?
Anytime you
And
want.
stand there, no, and stand there and wait,
Mark, I'm
and
gonna
then look
take
at
your
it.
picture right now.
Yeah.
No, that one's not good.
Taking
Take
Mark's
another
picture.
one. No, that one's not good. Take another one.
Take all of
no,
our
that one's not
pictures.
good.
More
And
vanity.
someone else who takes it is not going to stand there for hours to take your fucking picture. And that someone isn't going to follow you around. Now you're in the bathroom? Sure, now I'll take your picture here. Oh, now you're in the Burger King? Yeah, sure,
Right.
I'll take. Oh,
All right,
now you're at the
so-
Grand King? Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So
You know,
selfies
it's like, no.
imply more,
Selfies
yeah.
will become, like, I don't mind pictures of people. That's fine. But guess what?
If you take
There's
a
time and a
selfie,
place, and
if
it
you
should
take
be.
a selfie on the toilet, Mark, it's called a fleshy.
No, I see, like shit like that.
Or is it
like
a Blump?
like stuff where it's embarrassing.
An upper
or
decker.
it's fine. Like you can take a picture of yourself taking a dump. Take a picture of yourself with a fucking bowl of spaghetti on your head. Take a picture. You know what I mean? All those are great.
Profound
like, I don't have
words.
any-
Commander in Beef,
Wait.
selfies are outlawed. Executive order.
I do want to
Be-
bring.
E-
Flushies
E-
are
F.
apparently in, though. That's cool. Flushies?
Flushes are cool.
I'm in.
I do want to bring it back to.
I don't need to
original
see a
topic.
picture of you every fucking day
Yeah.
for 30 years
For sure.
in the same bathroom to see how you aged. Like,
Yeah.
really, do we need these records of people's fucking lives, like forever and ever and ever?
No.
Do we need this? No, we don't fucking need it. How about put your fucking brain to use and think about some shit?
Because
And fucking write something that's fucking actually takes your imagination,
'Cause then
creativity, fucking whatever.
Because then you'll pop up and tell them how it's stupid what they said.
Yeah, and actually, wait a minute. You're telling people they should write stuff. Do you read anything I wrote?
Yeah. Or
you
me.
don't come up on
Did
my
you finish
feed.
my book?
I sent you my book. I didn't even put
Yes,
on
I've read some of the stories of your book.
Really?
I liked them. Yes.
And he's all happy now. He looks like a bug in a rug over there. Cute little guy. He's not little. You about 6 feet, Eddie?
5'11". Although that's a bitterness thing because my dad always said he was 6 feet, and so then I was like, I'm as tall as my dad. That's happening. That's the thing now. I'm 6 feet tall. My wife was like, you're not 6 feet tall.
There's a
I'm like,
lot of
no, I'm as
rounding up.
tall as my dad.
There's a lot
And
of
then
rounding up going on
Yeah,
out
and then
there,
I put
folks.
myself up against one. I'm like, oh god damn it!
I've been guilty of it myself. All right, Eddie. So you got your oh, here it is. Little segment. dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. I'm going to put some music on. Shot in the dark.
And you're to blame.
It's just a quick trivia question.
You give.
So do only me and Eddie get to answer?
I don't know if, I don't
I
think
can't
you,
even. I can't read that shit.
what
I
percentage?
see a black screen.
What percentage of the human body weight is taken up by your skin?
Is it like 5 pounds?
Percentage.
Oh, percentage. So
And largest organ in the body, the skin,
Which I still think
epidermis.
is nonsense.
So, no, skin is the best part, man.
No, I don't
I
like.
love skin.
I don't like
Skin.
the way
It's
organ
good.
is defined, such that it includes skin.
Okay, so Brian, hit us hard.
I should probably know this too. I feel like it's going to be somewhere pretty low though. Like how much of your body weight?
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
Total body weight.
I wonder how much my skin
Percentage.
Yeah, percentage of your total body weight.
weighs. I don't know. 5-8%.
Eddie.
Like that.
I mean, that's a variable.
Nah, give me a number.
It's a variable.
I didn't ask for a thesis.
It's a variable number, but I would say that the general average would probably be around 10, 15.
But it wouldn't be a variable number. It'd be the same percentage.
No.
No matter how
No.
much you weigh, yes.
No, that's false.
Right?
It's
Surface
not
area
true.
versus.
If you have more fat or more
yeah.
muscle and all this other shit, or your bones are thin, Mark, go.
138%.
Mark was incorrect. Eddie was exactly right at 10 to 15%.
I was?
10 to 15% is exactly the thing you said. Here's a really interesting idea that people have been throwing
Wait,
around.
just for a second, just one last point on that, because I was deathly afraid that I was going to have to feel like a terrible paramedic. So
oh yeah,
You don't
true.
know how much the percentage is.
I needed to be at least close. I needed to be
You're
at
such a
least close.
bro,
know,
your skin
idiot.
game is weak.
I know
as-
your skin game
Well,
is weak, bro.
I've got a question. So your
Yes, Mark.
butthole, when does the skin of your butthole, when does it?
This is the second
it's
week
no
in a
longer
row
skin, but
that
it's
he's-
like
your
some other thing in your body.
your intestine.
Yeah.
Oh.
Like
Yeah,
where does it change?
Where does
Yeah.
the skin end and the
intestine
inside
begin, yeah.
begin?
At the sphincter.
Where's the Mason-Dixon line? The sphincter.
Yeah.
All right,
How are they connected?
The ass and sphincter line?
but
How are they
somewhere,
connected? Is there glue?
somewhere, what halfway through the sphincter? Like where's the actual Mason-Dixon line?
Yeah.
Where does
Eddie,
it
just
change?
Turn around
Where does
and
it?
show us? All right.
Where does it change from whatever your skin color is?
Yeah.
To bright red.
That inside
Yeah.
color. That inside stuff
inside-
color.
Well,
Gooey
see,
strawberry
the inside
jam
stuff.
color.
Not everything on the inside is the same color.
When does it go from
It's not?
chocolate starfish to fucking intestine?
Well, you know,
How
I'm
far
just saying
in,
some
Eddie?
people bleach themselves, so it's
How
not always
far-
the chocolates.
How far in?
How
Eddie?
far in, Eddie? We're not looking for
Approximately
jokes
2 joints. 2 finger joints.
Oh man!
here. Wow. So that's the second week in a row, Mark, that you've popped up with a question about buttholes. And
What are you trying to say, John?
Nothing, Mark.
What exactly are you trying to
Just
infer?
that your quest for knowledge it doesn't know
Or
any
actually-
barriers,
yeah.
bro. It'll go in all directions.
That might have been on habeas corpus, which was 2 weeks ago.
Habeas corpus.
I've been looking for an excuse to say that out loud for a long time. Episode, what was it, 52, I think, was called.
habeas corpus.
It's
that what
meaningless, by the way. Anyway.
Actually, well, it would mean you have the dolphin.
Ah, well done.
Were we discussing
Actually,
blowholes?
produce the
Latin.
dolphin. Produce the dolphin. Produce the dolphin.
Eddie's Latin game is way tighter than his
Then his
butthole
skin
game.
game.
Oh, skin
yeah.
game. Whoops.
Yeah, no, his skin game was tight as fuck.
Yeah.
He was dead on. My skin game was a little loose. It's probably.
Because you're older.
I knew that was coming. I dropped it myself. Thanks for John for
I
picking it up.
didn't even add any humor to that. I'm just like, because you're old as
No,
fuck, bro.
yeah, that's why it's happening.
Because
An old
the-
droopy skin bastard across the table. Week away from a skin tear.
Do your balls hang low?
Oh, well, we can either talk about drones that are flying over the U.S., or we can talk about universal basic income.
Can we talk about drones flying and bringing you your universal basic income?
Oh, that would be so
Pretty
sweet.
good idea.
Roll out
I
of
think we
bed.
just
That'll be
combined topics.
$1,500.
So, guys, here's the thing with drones. 10 years ago, the Border Patrol started using them, buying them, and using them on the border here.
La migra!
Right. And by 2012, Border Patrol had lent its drones to other law enforcement agencies 700 times.
Capture the Duke boys.
So their Department of Homeland Security is already building its own drone fleet. ATF bought 6 drones in 2015 for $100,000 a pop. And Then USA just reported that the Pentagon has deployed drones to spy over U.S. territory for non-military missions over the past decade. Citing
Wait. Do I need to bring out my fainting couch?
Yeah.
So I can express my shock?
Right. And that's the sad thing, is that no one's shocked anymore, that this could actually pass for a boring story. What's John talking about here? Talking about drones.
There was an episode of
flying over us.
NCIS about that.
We're all just like, yeah, I assumed they were. Like, that's not okay. Surveilling us from the sky with no warrant for no reason. So the Pentagon Inspector General declared that the flights were, quote, rare and lawful. And, which is...
Lawful in what way?
Yeah,
knows. There's no law against it. If you're outside... And someone can take the pic. That's how come paparazzi have the legal right to.
But since when are aircraft
there's
no oversight?
It was lawful in the way that he always puts an L before every word he pronounces.
I don't know. Yeah, awful. I don't know if it. I don't know. I don't know if it is lawful.
It is fun with words.
It depends on what
we should look into it.
Well, it depends what you mean by that. It does not violate the Constitution to do it, but their authorization to have those drones may have included a thing that you're not supposed to do that. Then it would be unlawful.
Yeah. Like the way they fly
but
and they're unregulated.
It is the answer to us building the wall and us not having to pay too much for it. And we could only charge Mexico a couple $1,000s.
How?
You have a couple drones, and they're flying, holding this 2-mile long wall.
Right.
And then you have maybe 1 or 2, 3 of those things.
Completely
and then
plausible.
they just surveil and see where people are coming up to the border, and they drop the wall down there. And then they have to go a couple miles to the other side, and they pick it up and bring it back down.
Yeah.
It's a movable wall.
Yeah. I'd like to
Stuck in the
subscribe.
21st century, people.
Yeah, I want to get
Think
on your
outside
news.
the box.
Send me your newsletter, Mark, because that's
forward-thinking nationalism.
Do you have a pamphlet?
Mark.
Yeah. Do
I
you have
want to
any
read your
literature with you?
Right now, the Trump campaign's sending him a letter.
Yeah.
They're like, dude, we'd like to pick your brain
We
on
heard
this.
your opinion there on the podcast. We'd like to get in touch with you further and research this idea.
How many listeners do you think we'd get with a Trump endorsement?
A lot.
Drumpf. Let's start the chant.
Yeah.
Drumpf.
I love how you say that.
Actually, you're bringing up before the
Well, we're talking about drones, right?
All right, we'll go to drones. Let's just stick with drones.
Well, the last thing is this the scary stuff, which is the security researcher Niels Rode learned that he could successfully hack into a professional drones and take over their operations on a $40 budget. So he demonstrated that, he controlled it.
Did he say
the tools for hacking something like that are rarely the problem's not the cost of the tools, because you just got to send you just need some kind of
skill.
thing. Yeah, because you just got to send a signal. It's not that expensive to send a signal. The drones are controlled via a Wi-Fi signal.
You would think that you'd need this high-powered computing and stuff to, something more than $40 would buy you. You would expect that would take a lot more money to hack.
It's all about the tech.
Yeah,
the fact that our country has not turned its whole CIA and any other kind of program into a late 80s Hollywood movie about computer hackers and kids and stuff, and just signed them all up and paying them money to do whatever they do.
Zero cool.
It's fucking beyond retarded. It's what, why you're paying all these schlumps in suits to think about policy or do whatever you're fucking doing when there's, just go on 4chan and fucking pick some kids off.
John McAfee had a point about that, actually, when he was as part of his rant about how he could totally break that San Bernardino shooter's phone, and he's insane, and also I think he killed his neighbor. But one of the things he said was one of the reasons that we don't have a very strong CIA, NSA structure is because the people who are really good at hacking are the people with the tattoos, the people with the shaved heads, the people who smoke weed every day. And those people can't get the government jobs because they want the people in suits. I
don't think that's true. I think that the best talent in the business, there's some of them that are tattooed and eating pills, but the best in the business are simply going to the companies that can pay them 10 times what the government position will pay them.
That was also
you go to Google. You
to
go
give
to
McAfee his
Amazon.
credit. Give McAfee his credit. That was his point.
Yeah, but you don't think some of those guys are going to all that dark-funded military R&D shit?
Yeah, some of them are for sure. Yeah, some of them are, and that's why DARPA is their competitions are very, very forward thinking. It's a good idea. So they go, well, we'll give you $1 million to any students or whatever who can meet this challenge by the end of the year. And then all the tech kids from all the private industry go at the problem and solve it. And that's a smart way of doing it.
Google does that too.
Yeah.
Google will put up billboards with like a string of something. And
Yeah, they're like,
figure out what the fuck it is.
decode this or hack this system, and we'll hire you.
I think we talked about that in an earlier show. That's why the civilian gun market is so important to the military-industrial complex, because a lot of fucking
R&D.
problems get free R&D.
People
a lot of problems
love-
get solved out here.
You can watch a video on anything being tested, especially any gun, any model, and it's scientifically almost, they'll set up ballistic gel, they'll this and that, and they'll prove whatever you need to know about a product.
Well, and if there's a small glitch in your design, they'll say, hey, man, this isn't real ergonomic, but we did this to it. We customized it. And they're like, hey, bro, thanks.
Yeah, and it's kind of great. It's good how government can work with private industry sometimes for good results, and that's why you need to put money into cancer research and have contests like that, like, fix this part of the cancer problem by next year, and we'll do something. You'll have publicity.
I think everybody's learning how you can fix cancer, bro. The National Institute of Health just quietly announced last week that they're aware that marijuana, the delta-9 tetrahydrocannabinol, and the CBDs kill cancer cells while doing no harm to healthy cells, and they've known it for a while.
Yeah,
Kills
but demon
cancer,
weed.
you say.
But it's so evil.
That damn devil's lettuce, man.
It makes Negroes hornier for white women, Brian. You didn't
More power.
You didn't know that?
Let's do this.
Negro males on the marijuanas.
No, but come on.
crazy.
Are
The
we
devil's
really
lettuce.
saying that if you have cancer you have a melanoma or something on your scalp, smoke weed as much as you want,
That's
or
not what
whatever the
Brian
doctor
said.
prescribes
No,
thing.
I don't.
And then that'll go away, and your lungs will not be damaged.
That's not what Brian said.
That's not
I
what
know.
I said.
I'm asking.
No.
I'm asking a question. That's why I'm asking him to clarify.
I don't know all the science behind it. You can deliver it a lot of other ways besides smoking it. Besides, I know this guy who smoked weed for about 30 years, and they did a spirometer test in his classroom, and he was told before this test that an 8-liter lung capacity was just incredible. It was elite athlete level. And then he consistently blew high 8s and 9s on the spirometer. They had another teacher come in and say, no, this machine was just calibrated, have him do it on this one. And he blew his highest level on that, but had been smoking pot for 30 years. So I'm not sure there's any evidence that it really damages your lungs. And if they're worried about that, there's plenty of other ways you can take it. Edibles, oils, tinctures.
Yeah.
No,
and,
but
Needle.
and we all know the evidence coming back about epilepsy, if you've done any reading.
a point to make though is I don't think that marijuana is ever going to be like the cancer cure. But that said, if it has any theoretically beneficial aspect, what it does do is, and is very well known to do, is help with like the nausea of chemo
And appetite.
Yeah.
And so
For sure.
if it's got
Oh,
a
yeah,
bunch of
and
positives
pain, too.
and pain, and then it's got
States-
all these positives, and there's a chance it also has some cancer fighting
Yeah.
aspects. It's like, well, even if that's like antioxidants and tea.
Yeah,
Well,
they
I'll-
can't be overdosed on.
I'll give you
makes
one
you
more,
happy,
too.
makes you creative, like makes you open up to people that are close to you.
I'll give you one more. States
Terrible.
where they legalize it medicinally, opioid use goes down about 47-50%.
It depends on the state.
And,
Colorado, right?
Because that hasn't happened here because the medical director who's in charge of what things it's legal for in this state, because it's legal here, but he's really it's not as much like California. You can get it for a lot of things. Here, there's a very short list, and I know some people are getting it anyway, but it's much harder here to get a card than
Right.
it is.
No, that makes sense.
And so the opiate use is going to go down.
right, but Brian's just saying
Proportion.
when it
It goes down.
proliferates.
And an
When
interesting statistic that's attached to that is, I don't have the numbers for opiate overdoses last year, but I'm pretty sure I know the number for marijuana overdoses
yeah,
last year
yeah.
because it's zero.
Yeah,
Same as every year before
nationwide,
that.
worldwide,
And
for
every
all of
year
history.
from now on.
Yeah, I'm not saying at all that there's not positive effects of smoking marijuana or using marijuana, and I'm not saying that it shouldn't be legal. I'm just wondering about the actual veracity of
Me
it
too.
curing cancer, because I know for a fact, since it is a Schedule I drug, and that's what it's classified as, nationwide, federally, it cannot be used in tests.
Yeah,
to find out what its benefits are.
At least,
so anything that you're telling me, well, the national blah 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 says, well, how did they come up with that?
Because can I interrupt?
I
just
think there
real briefly,
was
though?
testing by the government.
Yeah,
They
government
had
can
evidence
test
a long
and
time ago.
testing in other countries.
Hold on.
Yeah,
testing
real
in other
briefly.
countries, I'll buy. Testing in this country, no, it doesn't happen.
It doesn't happen anymore. It has happened. There have been, but
a
very
long
limited.
time ago,
A while
and
ago.
very
80s.
limited.
Yeah,
That's why,
very
that's
limited.
why
That's
if
the
you
real
think
thing.
about what I said
But-
when I first started, they announced that they know this and that they've known it for a long time.
Yeah.
But
They knew it a long time ago. All their evidence pointed in that direction in any case. The article I read, now I will give you, I didn't get real deep into it, but that far I read.
Yeah.
They've known it for a long time. They haven't
Right.
done
This
testing.
isn't
and they
new
did,
stuff.
No, and
Yeah.
they did go into that. But he said all our tests that we did back then, they all pointed in this direction. Now we're seeing the
right.
research coming back. We're just going to tell you that, yeah, it does.
Because sitting on this is kind of horrible.
Yeah, but I don't know, like you said, how they plan to deliver it and where they're having their successes in the research. If it's just some dude, attached to a gas mask smoking out all day, or if it's like they're taking it internally, or if it's
Mark's right though that the ban on testing is so heinous. It's and with the other psychedelics too.
Well,
completely non-addictive.
They should at
non-dangerous.
least blow smoke in rabbits' faces or something.
Yeah, come on.
marijuana is as Mark said, a Schedule 1 substance. And do you guys know what a Schedule 1 substance, like the definition is?
Yeah, there's a schedule of illegal drugs, like some
And it's the
prescription-
first one. That's
And it's-
but what's
so
the meaning?
obvious,
Well,
Eddie? Why are you
it's-
even asking that question?
It's the one coordinated with the harshest penalties legally.
Right, but there's a definition. And the definition is that it has to be something with a high abuse potential,
Uh-huh.
high addiction potential,
Uh-huh.
and no benefits of any kind.
Wow. That's not even true for heroin and opiates, which are also Schedule 1, right? Or 2.
No, they're Schedule 2. That's the thing.
Yeah.
It's worse
Yeah.
than
But LSD,
crack.
LSD is Schedule 1.
LSD is Schedule 1 because there's no health benefits that they point to. There may be psychological ones, but there's no health benefits
Yeah.
they point to.
Well,
But
now I'm seeing a lot of stuff about PTSD and
But it's
depression
not
and
addictive.
psychedelics
Psychological.
and
Not addictive.
Yeah,
though,
no,
Eddie.
right.
None
No,
of those
I-
psychedelics
I'm
are.
not,
Yeah.
don't think I'm faulting.
And you know what's not a class 1 scheduled drug?
What?
Oven cleaner.
Yeah, and that's the.
That's why I huff it.
Well, like, for example, cocaine.
It's not
cocaine
because it has
actually,
medicinal benefits.
cocaine
Yeah, it has
has
medicinal
more
benefits.
recognized
I knew I could smell it
medicinal
on you, man.
benefits than marijuana.
It was a medicine. That's where it started. It was a medicine.
Oven
It was an
cleaner. They used
analgesic,
it back
yeah.
in the Civil War. Oven cleaner. It
gets the grit out.
Yeah.
it regrew limbs.
Johnny Reb might have used some oven cleaner, but not
Yeah, no, we use WD-40 up north.
not on Northern boys. Why did I do a Southern accent? So, all right, real quick, we're almost done. But I don't play by the rules, folks. That's why I'm rich and famous.
This could carry over. Is that what you're saying?
So, universal basic income. This is an alternative to social welfare programs, and that's why this idea has been supported by people on the right and the left. What it is, it's also called a negative income tax. Basically, the government gives everyone in the country a check every month of cash money that goes into your bank account or whatever, and you do with it as you please. There's no strings attached. There's nothing, no requirements. You don't have to prove anything except that you're a citizen. You get the money every month, and that's it. There's no food stamps. There's no welfare. There's no giant offices of bureaucrats testing you and doing paperwork to see if you can apply to food stamps. There's nothing. Everyone gets a check, billionaires and homeless guys. And it's an idea, right? So you save money on all that crap I just mentioned, bureaucracy and food stamps and welfare. And then you spend money, a lot of money, on this on cutting these checks to everybody. But the idea is that's it. That's all the government does for you financially. And it's usually defined as like just under the poverty level. It's just enough to get by. So it might be something like $800 a month or something like that in the U.S. Now, the question is...
Well, does it balance? All the bureaucracy you get rid of, it balances to the money, and everybody gets the same thing. If he makes $1 billion,
depends on who
or if
you
he
ask.
makes no dollars.
Depends on who you ask. How does the math work? Well, there's been 2 experimental studies done on it in real life. Okay, so Canada, 1974. For 5 years, 10,000 people received $500 a month. And then they had a control group of 10,000 people who got nothing. And they,
sucks to be you,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it's do your duty.
same demographic spread.
What, really? They needed a control group? And let's see what happens to them.
I'm curious, John. I don't know
This
how
is
much
how
you
you
know
do
about.
an experimental study.
Were the people who got the money also excluded from government programs?
Yeah. Let's
Yes.
just say yes. I don't know.
And they also were excluded from food and sunlight.
They were just going
No,
about
that's
their
just
business.
Canada in the winter, bro.
So here's the results, because all this comes down to is math. A, could we afford to do this? B, does it fix poverty and stuff like that? And C, does it lead to prices going up, which some people are afraid of? So here's the results. Only 2 groups of people worked less, because that's one of the big fears. If you give people enough to get by, they won't work. 2 groups of people worked less. Teenage males, actually, and women who just had a baby, new mothers. So the women just stayed home with their infants, which is, we all know it's a terrible thing. Shouldn't be done.
Horrible.
And the teenagers didn't work as much. But what they did do, graduation rates went up. So the teens were going to school and getting their high school diploma and then going to college more often.
And getting pregnant and having kids and not working.
And overall, fewer hospital and mental health visits, which was interesting and not expected. People were healthier.
People always underestimate the hazards of stress,
Right.
You know,
and poverty in general, yeah.
if you knew that you were going to eat tomorrow,
Yeah.
like that, no matter what happened,
You're
you're gonna
probably
eat.
a little less depressed,
Yeah,
knowing you're going to get some food.
Yeah.
And the last positive result, a rise in entrepreneurship. People just started new businesses and which is the utopian idea behind this is that you free them up so that they only have to work like
I saw a
20
gleam.
hours
I saw
a
a
week to
gleam
get
in
by.
Mark's eye that about independent music labels.
Yeah.
When
No,
you said
take that
that,
$500,
Buy drugs.
buy a brick of heroin.
end it all.
Turn it over,
Oh,
man.
my bad.
Start.
I went dark with
go
this.
the
Start,
Colonel
what is
Sanders
it?
route. He got rich by slinging birds,
Los
dude.
Pollos Brothers or whatever it is.
Los Pollos Hermanos.
Yes, Los Pollos Hermanos.
the Chicken Brothers.
Chicken
Yeah.
Brothers.
You guys haven't watched Breaking Bad? Get out of my house.
I watched most of the first season, but it just got so unrelentingly depressing.
It is that. It's also the greatest television.
No, it looks
show
amazing.
ever
It's
made.
just
Which is
unrelentingly
what you said
depressing.
about Deadwood.
Well, those two are.
Didn't you
up
like
there for me.
Deadwood?
I didn't watch it.
No,
What about Better Call Saul? Have you been watching that?
Yeah, I like
I
it.
do love Bob Odenkirk.
What do you think about it, Mark?
I like Better Call Saul. Have
Yeah,
you seen
me
the
too.
Fargo TV show?
Yeah, I told
I didn't
you
like
about
the Fargo
season
movie.
2.
And I started. I'm
How
actually on,
amazing
I'm
is it?
on episode 8 right now.
How
so-
amazing is
No,
it?
it's really good.
Is it one of the best you've ever seen? Altogether, the cinematography, the music, the acting.
Oh
the
yeah,
plot.
yeah, definitely.
So
Actually,
so,
speaking of
so
TV,
good.
you know what's on
It's a
TV?
Standalone.
The People versus O.J. Simpson.
Oh yeah, that's
I
good,
haven't
right?
watched that.
I haven't seen it yet, but I do know that that has gotten a lot of press along with the knife that they found on.
Oh, yeah.
Which that's
It's stupid.
ridiculous.
It's stupid.
That's like
The
okay.
knife. The cops had it in his house for 20 years.
Yeah.
This is new evidence. Get the fuck out of my house.
And the cop had it because
he's in jail
a
anyway.
construction worker gave it to him that found it on this property. So how much hearsay are we believing now about
I
this
do kind of
evidence?
think that cop should probably be in jail, though.
Yeah.
I thought the case was closed.
Yeah.
Why? Why did
Yeah.
you think that?
All right. Anyway, India did universal basic income experiment in some small district in 2011. They did it for 3 years. 6,000 people got $4 a month, which was a huge.
That's like
deal.
$8,000.
Yeah, that it's really puts the wealth disparity
Can,
on
can
this
I make
planet
a prediction?
in perspective.
Can I make a prediction?
Yes.
I'm pretty sure that kids under 10 stopped working.
That's.
I'm curious
That's
though.
pretty
I'm
funny.
curious how the minimum income. There's a right wing thing that a lot of people I've heard of before, and I don't know what's wrong with it, and I don't know enough about economics to have a real opinion. But it sounds
Luckily,
kind of
I'm
cool.
here. Go ahead.
The flat tax.
Right. That's not cool at all.
Why is it not cool?
Because the graduated progressive income tax is based on the idea that the very, very wealthy should not only
Correct.
pay the same percentage, but a higher percentage.
But they
In my-
don't now. So I'm comparing
No,
it.
of course they
No,
do.
they don't. They pay considerably less. percentage. They pay flatly considerably less. It's kind of like how there's that big thing.
You're talking about loopholes and stuff because the rate is 34% or 30.
No, the rate for them is 14% if it's capital gains. There's and I guess you could call that a loophole. But since rich people, a lot of their income is capital gains, they're making a hell of a lot less.
But on income, which is what we were talking about,
but
not capital gains.
Capital gains is still income.
All right,
it's a gain.
But earned income, whatever you want to call it, not capital gains. They pay the highest bracket pays 34 or 8% or something. Bernie wants to raise that up to 52%.
Right, and I think that's
a good idea. Right. I have a whole philosophical defense for that graduated progressive tax based on the idea that the money you make is yours, of course. The reason you're getting money is because John Locke said, you mixed your blood with the land. You
didn't
mixed
build
your
that
effort with something, and you made money from it. And that's why it's your property. That's how you define private property. And when you make a ton of money, it's easier to make more money. Capital gains is a great example. If you have $20 million in the bank, you could easily make $2 million off of your money in interest that in a year. And that's enough to live on, $2 million a year. Yeah. And you haven't spent anything. So you didn't mix your blood with the land for that $2 million. And therefore, you're less entitled to it, in my opinion, philosophically.
Compared to the current system, what's the problem with the flat tax? Given things like capital gains.
Isn't the flat tax where everyone pays the same thing?
It's like 30% on income of all kinds, of anything.
30% for the poor or for the middle class?
Well, they could get a refund, but the point being that it's just a flat
because
thing. Because I think
here's what's wrong with it. It lowers taxes on the rich. It raises them on everybody.
But it doesn't.
Yes, it does, because it's 34% or 7 or 9 right now.
Except that the people who are getting capital gains tax are paying half of that.
So Eddie's saying to tax capital gains as well at the same rate, which is not done currently.
I don't think that would add up to. I think that would add up to savings for the rich, and it would definitely be more taxes paid by the middle class.
I don't know enough about the flat tax.
Now you're shrinking the middle class even more, separating them even more from the rich. And maybe that's the last thing we need.
And maybe correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't know anything about the flat tax either. Because when you first hear it, you're like, well, that doesn't sound like a bad idea, but. Isn't part of the idea of it to eliminate refunds? Like you're not getting anything back. We're not going to process shit.
But I do think
that's just how it is.
The only things
they want to get rid of the IRS,
right?
But I think that there is you can still deduct like your housing and your food. Like I think so it's a flat tax on everything, but there's that offset so that the poor people who can only afford housing and food right now aren't paying anything.
The flat tax, there are very attractive things about it, and so I'm glad you brought it up. It's kind of the same with this, this universal basic income, and this is why right-wing people sometimes support this idea, because it is fair by any definition. I mean, it's fair. Everyone gets the same check, and you do with it as you please, and
Does Bernie have an opinion on it?
Yeah, he's been asked about it, and he said, I like the idea, but I've opted for raising the minimum wage instead as my policy, instead of the universal basic income. I mean, I don't know why. Maybe he thinks it's too expensive for the UBI.
Well, he thinks no one will sign up for it.
Or it's just so radical that it would hurt him
But for him to say, I'm curious if other candidates have been asked. Because, of course, he's the socialist, so they're going to ask him the socialist questions. Yeah. But I'm curious, like, Hillary's a Democrat.
No, but why bother? Why bother? She's a moderate Republican.
Right.
That's what Hillary Clinton is. She has no interest in ideas like that. None.
You don't know.
If they get her elected, she probably does.
Well, exactly, and if
yeah,
like because that's my thing is you say she's a moderate Republican and I say shenanigans. She's not a moderate Republican. She's what's going to get me elected? What can I say?
Yeah, but I'm talking about voting record for her in the past. She's a moderate Republican, in my opinion, and that's a stupid thing to say. She's a Democrat, but anyway. So in India, when they did it, increased economic activity, more people buying stuff, which is what economies run on. Lower infant mortality. Babies not dying. Kind of like that. Improved nutrition.
To be fair, I do hate babies.
Increase in livestock. 3 times more likely to start their own business than the people in the control group. So these are the 2 scientific experimental studies that have been done on universal basic income, and they're both very encouraging. And I think so. This might be a nice radical agnostic.
Might be time for another study.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, yeah, because if you have money to buy new rubber tubing for your exhaust manifold or something, you're going to do it instead of using some cow intestines that you got out of a field.
The sphincter conversation is over, Mark.
Everything I've read about the universal basic income has been so positive, so beneficial, and so intuitive, which is not always right, but if everything lines up, that's pretty awesome. If the evidence lines up and your intuition lines up, that's good times. that
It walks like a duck.
if it walks like a duck, quacks like a
It
duck.
kind of depends on how much they give you, right?
No.
Like, what if they give you $100 a month? That's not really going to
Well, that's not
change
a basic
lives, right? But if they give you $600 a month, whoa, that's your rent. I mean, at least in Tucson it is, but in New York it's not. That's like a quarter of your rent. So is that fair?
But at the
the money's worth less in other geographical
that's
places.
true, and
right?
I'm looking right now to move. Right?
Well, and then
Which means
move somewhere like Africa, because for the cup of coffee you can live. Cup of coffee a day, you can live there.
Well, here's the thing about
What do you
here's the
mean,
thing
the price of a cup of coffee?
For the price of
It's like
cost
the
of cup
Eastern Europe
coffee,
joke from
sure,
Eurotrip.
you can live in Africa.
Oh, for sure.
but
It's like what I said about India. They gave them $4 a month, and that was equivalent to the study in Canada where they gave them $500 a month in 1974.
For my job, I can find a job almost anywhere in the country within some
Paramedic.
As a paramedic, I can find some kind of work, right? Almost anywhere in the country. I don't know that I could find work in, say, Africa that would pay enough to be worth that cup of coffee equals $1 million type thing. So, but with a universal basic income, you're right that there'd be a problem of, well, if somebody here gets $1,500, it's entirely different than somebody
John,
in
and
New York.
Brian could sponsor you. Ed.
Although there are some theoretical problems, but I think that they can even out. Like if you can't live in New York, okay, fine, but you could move. And so I would argue. And that's not great, but if you had to, the stress of I can't fucking eat, I'll be fucking homeless, as opposed to, well, I might have to move to the outskirts, I might have to move somewhere else. That's a different stress.
I know, but here's what we would be. Commander in Beef has instituted universal basic income. Everyone gets.
Hold on. Are selfies still around? 'Cause that's my first fucking thing.
You did the executive order.
Selfies are gone.
It's like Obamacare. You have to prove you have insurance.
Yeah.
Like under Commander in Beef, you have to prove you haven't taken any selfies.
In one fucking selfie, do you get nothing?
You have to prove a negative. Of course, his running mate was Vermin Supreme, so that's Vice President Supreme.
So y'all got,
I will say this.
So all you motherfuckers got ponies too.
Mark, to get back to what I was saying before is, although I'm not a single issue voter, I do think that the universal basic income is so awesome that I feel like
you would support anyone who
almost.
Because
I don't want to say that, but that's such a big deal.
Look what it would
and
do.
all the evidence seems to support it.
Kids, poor kids, everyone could live in like an okay apartment
So
complex.
I've said before, I'm not like I'll probably vote whoever the Democrat is just because I think the Republicans are horrible and I think they're all monsters.
Yeah.
But I do think like. And it's too late now for me, but in theory, at least in principle, we'll talk about the principle. If right now Bernie, like based on what you just said about Bernie, it would make me more inclined to vote for him in the primary. And if he ever said I'd support it, I don't think it's feasible, but I do support. If he said that, I would regret not having.
He's favorable to the idea.
I can't do the primary for him.
Fun with words.
What do you got, Brian?
I don't have much, man.
We're over time, but it's too much fun. We'll stop.
I've been.
We solved
actually, wait. As a tail end, as an ending note. I want to say, John was kind enough to be on my podcast earlier. I finally edited and posted the episode. That's irrelevant.
What's your podcast called?
It's called Nonsense Debris. It could be called Terrible Audio, but I'm working on that. I'm working on that. Equipment's expensive. But on that podcast, and I gave him credit in the show notes, but I want to give him credit on his own show. John brought up that there are pictures from the surface of Venus, and I really struggled with really?
Yeah. Like, why haven't I heard about this?
Yeah.
So what was it? Russia sent a little...
I sent 13.
Oh,
they
really wanted it.
There's 4 different...
Because you can't see the surface of Venus from space at all.
No.
There's a runaway greenhouse effect, and it is so... The atmosphere is so thick, you'll never see in there.
They've landed more than one.
Really?
Yeah. No, if anything, we're understating the case, and I still didn't believe you.
I still think there's only a handful of pictures that can
Correct. Each one, the longest one... that have been released because the longest that anything's lived there was 2 hours. 2 hours, for Christ's sake!
You mean a machine?
A machine, yeah. The machine being alive, but only one of them was in color. Several of them, they actually seem to have a recurring problem with lens caps. Just like the thing would land and then the lens caps wouldn't pop off, so they get other data, but they don't get fucking pictures.
So frustrating.
Millions of.
Why wouldn't they just send it without a lens cap to begin with?
Oh, just as part of the landing process, because the landing is so harsh to try to make sure.
Mark, we're not going to troubleshoot
there's something covering the lenses.
Well, then what the fuck are we doing every week? I thought we're solving problems. We're just.
I just want to give Mark
that lens cap off, you motherfuckers.
I just want to give John. I'm amazed that we have these pictures.
Aren't they awesome?
I looked at several of them, and I don't know how many have really been released, but there's only half a dozen that you see.
Of course, the answer to what
Venus's tits.
Of course,
I like sex.
The answer to the question, "What do they look like?" is rocks and shit.
Yeah, it doesn't
That's
look
what
yeah.
all probes on every planet see is rocks and shit.
It surprises me that the machines last for 2 hours because I don't know if you guys know this or not, but at Fukushima, they've been sending in robots to try to remove
I
the
don't even know. Are
rods.
you Fukushima?
And they die as soon as they get close to him because of the intense.
Well, that's
completely out of control.
radioactivity.
That's radioactivity, which
Yeah.
Venus is the big thing is heat.
Yeah, it's 900 degrees Fahrenheit.
Shuts them right the fuck down, though.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
they can't even get the robots in there. Place is completely out of control.
You
It's
don't
a
hear
horrible.
much about it
yeah.
anymore, but it's still fucking up the planet.
Well, they've
quite
got the press
nicely.
under control now.
What about
the
that
Japanese
one
government?
What about that one old dude that like had volunteered to go clean it up because he didn't have long to live anyways? Is he still alive?
Is that a real thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I heard about that.
A bunch of old guys
That's
were like,
true.
don't like
Man.
telling the young
Self-sacrifice-
guys like, don't go in there. Like, we'll go
As
in.
a culture,
Oh, my God.
self-sacrifice is a big thing in Japanese
Yeah.
culture. And but I just wanted to give. I've been accused recently, as he turns to Brian,
Of what?
of not being objective.
You guys
Accused
got
him of
anything
not
about
being-
this?
last
last
show?
show?
No, he said-
I said that if I can paraphrase
Oh,
myself,
oh.
I said that Eddie was not objective about
Whenever
about
religion came
whenever
into
religion
Yeah,
came into
yeah.
something. Eddie could not be objective.
yeah. You're getting radical
agnostic is not easy, dude. It's
he's-
uncomfortable shit.
But it's seeping
No.
out on you.
No,
It's
well, it's all. I've always
not Mark.
strived to.
Mark has not changed
'Cause I
at
have a-
all.
I don't like- I-
0% movement.
In fact, actually, Mark, if you ever want to insult me, here's the biggest insult. You call me a hypocrite.
Yeah.
That's the
He's the
insult.
control group. Mark's the control group.
But I wanted to give
first
John
off,
his
I think
credit.
everybody's fucking crap, so I don't take
I know.
anyone's side. So
I know.
how is that not radical agnosticism?
that's why you're the control group, bro.
no,
Like, you're the constant.
that's true. From the beginning, I've said you're kind of
I was the
ultimate.
first one, and you got So.
yeah. It's true.
I'm
It's
still
true.
waiting for y'all to catch up.
Yeah, that's what it is. There's some truth to that.
So just in John is right news. That's all. That was my big
pictures
point.
of Venus. Well,
Yeah.
guess what?
They're in the show notes for my show.
I don't know if you know this. We have pictures from the surface of Titan.
Yes.
Which is
That I
one of
knew.
Saturn's moons. I love that
Aren't those
shit.
grainy as fuck though?
No, they're pretty good.
Are they pretty good? I
To
haven't
me, yeah,
seen
they're-
them.
They're pretty good, but
Pretty,
you know,
Blu-ray.
pretty much rocks and shit.
rocks
too.
and shit,
Yeah,
Brian.
okay.
Rocks and shit.
That's
There's
good.
some. It's like everywhere in the solar system that isn't a gas giant is just a
Rocks.
barren thing with rocks, like rocks. The size that you would just like a size of a softball. It's weird. They're all like.
Well,
you
we're
can-
used to sedimentary. We're used to processes that break down the rocks. There's not much about like there's not a lot of running water in these places. So those rocks
Yeah.
are going to get broken down. You know,
When-
all you have is wind erosion, basically.
the wind. If you want to get
Maybe
into
there's
wind,
advanced cultures on these planets, and as soon as they see one of these fucking things coming, they go get
turn into a rock.
they go get a big fucking.
Turn into Iraq.
You remember those old posters back in the 70s that would cover a whole entire wall of like a fucking forest scene or waterfall or
Yeah.
whatever? They got two guys fucking holding something like that, running in front of the fucking camera.
A matte
hold it
painting.
there.
A matte painting.
Matte
It's a matte
painting of
painting.
rocks. And they fucking have distributed them throughout the fucking universe.
And they hold
like,
them-
hey,
they hold
whenever
them
these
up.
assholes
That would
fucking
explain
come
all
to
the
your
weird
planet,
shit we see.
Yeah.
Somebody somebody puts it like
That's
it's
what
like
it
in the
is.
comics when they accidentally or in the cartoons when they put a swear word. That's when you see a face, or what was that thing about the Mars when they said, "Oh, that looks like a spider." That's some artist just being like, "I'm gonna fuck with him."
You know what's funny though?
Yeah.
That literally could be what's happening on every planet we've been to. Like alien guys holding up a picture, and the cameras. Like no scientist would ever consider that as a possibility. So when there were weird like 2-dimensional effects in the image, they'd be like, okay, that's just how our camera works on that planet. So they would reason past it. In real life, they would. They would never go, maybe there's guys holding up a painting.
That sounds like that could be a hilarious show. It would be like a show.
Those are the real guardians of the galaxy.
It's an
dude.
That
alter-
could literally be happening, and no scientist, I guarantee, would have postulated
I
it.
want to see the opposite of that. I want to see a show where the premise is Earth is more advanced than this. Like there are real Martians, right? But they're like not even in the Industrial Revolution yet. And so when they do get there and they start sending probes to our planet as like, oh, that planet looks like it's better than ours for life. Maybe we'll find life there. And there's a whole bureau of people convincing the Martians that there's no life on this planet. So
yeah.
every time a lander lands, they have to travel out there with a map painting
Of
and
rocks,
tricks. Yeah,
rocks and shit.
that would be a
Get
fucking
the rocks
great
and shit
show.
painting. Like, this was more advanced. It's turning 360. We can't keep showing the same painting. And they're like, all right, draw some more.
Bigger teams.
Get the artist.
We need 8 guys out there.
And when the UFO lands, it's like the Beverly Hillbillies jalopy.
That's just amazing.
Next week, we'll talk about Bill Nye and Neil deGrasse Tyson saying ignorant shit about philosophy, among other topics that they pontificate on. Really stupid comments from those guys.
I'm gonna love that episode. I hope.
What
still
is
here.
Bill Nye? He's got like an
associate's Bachelor of Science.
Yeah.
He by trade or by origin, he's an engineer.
Okay, but he has
He's
a
got
Bachelor of Science.
And he was put in charge of a kid's show about science. And now he's a fucking genius, expert on everything.
Intellectual.
But see, that's what happens when you put someone in front of a camera and you fucking and you
look at us.
Let them.
We're in front of mics,
and you let them just
good
pontificate on whatever.
Yeah.
And you always like go to them, make memes about whatever they said, and fucking quote what they said. And blah blah. Guess what? Eventually, those people are going to get a fucking big head.
Yeah.
I will say this,
and
though.
The atheists like him, of course, they love to pontificate on every different subject as if their science has developed an answer for all of these questions.
Well, to be fair,
I'm gonna say this,
to be fair, that was a question that was asked of him.
I am going to say this, though. Neil deGrasse Tyson, who does not identify as an atheist, but they're both less assholes than Dawkins.
Oh yeah, we're agreed on that. Richard Dawkins is the king of the assholes.
Although once again, he recently had a stroke, and I do wish. I hope he recovers.
Me too.
Well, I don't know who's more of an asshole, Richard Dawkins or Pat Robertson.
Clearly, Pat Robertson. Like, if you have to think about that for more than 2 seconds, there's a problem.
No, I thought we were talking about among the atheists.
No, well, I think they're both on the same side, so whatever.
A little bit, yeah. All right. Thank you guys for listening. That was episode 54. We are doing this shit. We'll be back next Sunday for more. A lot of good topics. Go to patreon.com to donate to the show and check out Eddie's podcast, Nonsense Debris. And thanks for listening.
Oh, hold on. Joke.
Go ahead.
What do lower class Dutch people and acne have in common? They're all clogged pores.